Today I want to show you my 4 steps to perfect fretting hand technique. This applies to whether you're a beginner or advanced, whether you're playing acoustic or electric, all these same techniques apply, and let me show you these 4 tips right now. The first one is, no matter what you're playing, to always have your fingers right up against the fret wire. For example, if I wanted to go and play fret 1, string 1 with my first finger, it would need to be placed here, almost pretty much on top of or right up against the fret wire on that fret. If I pressed here, this is kind of bad technique because I have to press on so much harder to get this note ringing out, and if I'm here, it can actually be quite light, and that's always the case for any of these points. If I'm in the middle of the fret, I just have to press on much harder to get that note ringing out. And when you press on harder, it actually hits you out of tune. So make sure you're right up against the fret wire for every fret. Sometimes that's difficult, even for open chords, like this first one is a little bit behind, for example. Even if I play an A major like this, we can't quite get it to there. Or we can, but we have to kind of change our hands a little bit. Those things we just concede are just what happens to be able to play that chord. But as a good, perfect fretting technique, as close to the fret wire or even just on top of it as possible is actually best, especially for playing single notes right up against that fret wire. When we do that, that allows us to do technique 2, which is not pressing on too hard. To make sure you're not pressing on too hard, try this. Let's play fret 1, string 6, just here with our first finger, but I would like you to press that down without holding your thumb down at all, and I'm going to have it here, so away from the guitar neck. In fact, I'm going to go to here just so you can see it really clearly. And I'm still holding that down, but I'm not pressing loud at all. Now, when you do this, I want your thumb at the back of the neck, but not pressing on, so I'm going to be like this. My thumb, there's my thumb touching. It's not touching now at all. I'm going to lessen that pressure, and it's going to be that amount. I'm able to do that by supporting the guitar here on the inside of my forearm, and no matter what finger I use, I can do this without the thumb being on at all. Certainly something to keep in mind for bar chords, but for any technique, you don't want to press on harder for fretting any note than you need to. Tip number 3 is especially when we're playing any single note lines, and it's that when we're playing the thicker strings, we're going to need to have our fingers pretty vertical to the fretboard. And when we're playing chords or chord-based technical exercises, this is often really handy. However, as soon as we're bending strings, or really when I'm playing anything on string 1, I have my fingers on an angle like this so that I'm ready. Notice how I'm now on this vertical angle, and then I'm on this angle here so that I can bend a string. And when I'm in between, it's kind of in between. It's on a little bit of an angle, but when I'm on string 6, say if I was playing A minor pentatonic, shape 1, as soon as I get to string 4, I'm on a slight angle. And as soon as I'm on string 2, I'm on a big angle, and that thumb's actually come out to the top. That's not communicated often enough, I think, in lessons by anybody, because it's the biggest difference between the way a beginner would play a scale to how someone who's practically trying to get better at like rock lead, blues lead, or anything where they're playing single notes, they'll often do this because it does give you actually a lot more of a stretch, especially with that third finger. To do that, we're going to have to do tip 4, which is the final one. And it's being aware that this thumb is going to change from being in the middle of the back of the neck to high to over the top. It's over the top only when we're playing the thinnest strings on a single note line, or if we're playing chords kind of in this fashion, which is a more intermediate, kind of Hendrix-inspired technique. Certainly intermediate level, high intermediate level really. But if you're not aware that that thumb moves and needs to move to be able to play certain chords, certain things are a real challenge. Quick recap on those 4 tips. Making sure, number 1, making sure we're at the highest part of the fret, right up against the fret wire, not pressing on too much, and even practicing that with not pressing down the thumb. Having the fingers vertical to the frets and then going on an angle and kind of playing scales and any lead lines, anything on guitar like this. And when we do that, the thumb comes out over the top of the neck and goes back to like this. And this is a really cool thing to practice because it is exactly... basically how I play guitar. Let me know how you get on with that in the comments below. Let me know if you had any aha moments, because they're always the exciting ones. And find more of my technique videos not available on YouTube at the top of the description, available exclusively at andyguitar.co.uk.